Hi, I'm Pat Sullivan from Seacoast Real Estate with Linda Forrestal, Jan Stevens, Dan Ashton, and Jean DeAngelis. We're sponsoring Winthrop's Nicest Garden Contest. We thought that it would be a lot of fun to go around and see some of these gardens that people have been working so hard on that are really beautifying our town. So we came first to 133 River Road, and we're going to be looking at the garden here.
This is Kathy Braveman,
Good morning.
133 River Road, and Kathy's going to take us on a tour of her garden.
Do my best.
Okay, go ahead.
Outdoor gardening is a new experience for me. I'm basically a houseplant person, so this is a whole nother dimension. There are a variety of stations, I call them, within this garden of mine, which lends to the versatility of the house. So I'm pretty much picking up where the people who have lived here before have left off and trying to revitalize the work that they had so diligently affected for so long, and then I'm introducing a little of my own character. So come on along.
How long have you been here?
I've been here for 2 months.
2 months.
March, April, May, almost 3 months. Yeah, and I guess since we're standing right here by the red rose bush, we could just start and tell a little bit about her. She was very sick. She was loaded with all sorts of insects, and I pretty much flying by the seat of my pants grabbed something off the shelf and sprayed her a few times and told her I loved her, and she's given me some beautiful flowers, and there are a variety of colors around. There's a pink rose bush to my right over there, and pretty much the same with her. So we can start. We'll walk sort of this way in an easterly direction, and if you want, we can come all the way back around to where we started. These guys over here, the rhododendron and the mountain laurel, are very large. As you can see, they have not been nourished. They have not been cared for in some time. I was advised not to prune them too much because I might send them into shock. But nevertheless, I have been nourishing them and pruning them, and I really have no reference point to know just how much, how full or how lush they may have been in years gone by to know whether they have come along a little better this year or not. But nevertheless, they are giving me life, and we intend to plant Pachysandra underneath here to give, some sort of a lushness and fullness to the area. But I don't want to get too involved with too much planting because I've got a station of astilbe and maybe some clematis going over here. And then I have an experimental station, quasi-rock garden over there with some hardy lilies and some lupine, which is a wildflower that shoots off an indigo spike. So if you want to come on around over here, this northeast corner is a very poorly lit area. It's very boggy. It's always very wet. The sun only skirts the area. So what to do? The ground cover here, I just liked. I thought it was pretty. I thought it would do well. This was my first planting. This was the first area I planted, and I'll tell you, she's just come along beautifully. She is just great, and if everything comes along as well as this area is starting to come along, then truly I will be blessed. My is my latest planting. This is a regalia. She grows in a vase-like formation. She had been planted yesterday on the west side of the house, but unfortunately the soil there is not soil, it's asphalt rock when you get about 6 inches in. So I decided to put her here to provide a little dimension with height. I was thinking of a trellis, but I thought that maybe since she was suffering where she was yesterday, she would do well here. Tried to center her on the back side of the house. I've got lilies that are coming up there. I've got phlox, which isn't doing too well, to the right of the regalia. But the root system, once established, I'm quite sure the way she's aspected and the soil itself, they will come along. I see some people in the community with the most beautiful mounds of phlox. They're just fantastic, and I oftentimes think I should stop and say, how do you do it? Phlox can be so finicky. But
Maybe we'll be able to find out for you on one of our other tours.
that would be wonderful. We can go around to the west side, sort of the southwest corner here. I do have one area, my pride and joy, which is my smoke bush. I went to buy ground cover, and I came home with the tree. And I said to myself, okay, great. I have a tree, I have a bag of manure, I have a bag of all these other bags of things to affect the soil, but I'm not a landscaper. I'm just a neophyte, a novice. But I decided that I would conquer this, and I planted this smoke bush. And boy, I'll tell you, I think I did a pretty good job. She's in there, and she's mulched, and she's coming back to me, and she's just beautiful. She'll grow to be about 6 or 8 feet. She is a bush, but she's hardy at the base like a tree. I've got a little rock garden. This is another area I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with yet, but I've got the hen and chick started on the bottom, and this, I'm not quite sure the Latin name for this, but I know the lay term for it is nana. So when I started pulling up what I thought shouldn't be here, I found a strawberry patch. And I have the most well-established, lush patch, and they're starting to turn red now. I nourished the soil, and once again said my prayers, and I've got strawberries, lots of them. I'm going to put a climbing white hydrangea over here against this fence. I've narrowed out a path here for her. This is yet to be conquered. Who knows what will happen here. And then I have a flower garden over here that is giving me plenty of crabgrass and no zinnias. And I can't tell the difference between the two just yet, so I'm letting them grow together in competition. And then once I see the first bud, I'll know what a zinnia looks like as it comes up, and I'll be able to start pulling the stuff I don't need. I have a rose, but hidden within all these weeds is another rose bush. God bless the gal that was here for so many years. I mean, she just planted, she lived for this plot of earth here. I mean, everything was just so well maintained at one time. We still have another rose bush to uncover over here. So there's just, as you can see, there are so many different stations in this garden. And then I have a gateway that's going to be put up over here. We have a local contractor that's going to be doing the work. And at first I thought about putting a very elaborate gateway with a pergola on top, but then I decided that I would save all that creativity for the deck modification. But we did put this fence up to sort of privatize the area and to create more of a secret garden effect. So the gate will be as high as the fence, maybe a little higher, with wrought iron latches. And once you open that gate, enter my world. So we can just come back around this way, and we're about at the end of it all. And then my window boxes with the vinca, which everybody knows, and the impatiens. I wish I had been more versatile with my colors, sort of mixed and matched colors, because they are kind of pale. But you know, you live and you learn as you go. And we have another rose bush. She is probably the healthiest of all so far. She was sick though, but she's come along. And the azalea. I spent 6 hours on Mother's Day helping her. Her root system was covered with brick. I removed the brick from perhaps, 2 feet in to about 3 feet down. Her roots were impeded, her roots were dry. She had grown up against the side of the house. She was dead, she was dying, she had trash underneath her. But I cleaned her out. Once again said my prayers, and hopefully as the years go by she'll come back. She was not planted in the best spot, and she's been pruned far too much, but nevertheless she gives beautiful fuchsia colored flowers. And then at the end here, I planted some alyssum, and I threw some wildflower seed around her. Whether or not they'll ever come up, I don't know, but the alyssum does well, and hopefully she will, as she establishes, she'll give me a lawn right here, and that's about it.
Thank
Well,
you, garden. It's beautiful.
thank you for coming. I enjoyed
We'll have to
having
come back
you
and
all
see
here.
it again when it gets.
Yeah, please do come back, and hopefully the next time you come, everything will be established, and I'll have some new things to show you. A lot of planting left to be done.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
We're at the Lavagers residence at 649 Pleasant Street. It's Bob, Lisa, and Kathy. And they're going to take us on a tour of their garden. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey. Hey, well, we had this home, we were in our fourth year now. There was actually nothing here. We put the driveway in, we put the garden in. And if you can see, we created this little freestyle garden. These are your sedums, your pines, your junipers. Put some rocks in here, created a little Japanese garden, a little birdhouse. The Japanese, this is what they call, this here tree is what they call a Harry's walking stick. These are hostas. And we created our own little special gate. This here is a honeysuckle vine, which will eventually grow right over here. Now,
Did you design this yourself?
yes, right. That gate cost all of $8, scrap wood. Really? And we go in here. We have our little water garden here. These are hostas, and if you can get up here, we have little fish in there.
There's goldfish in
There's
there.
a goldfish swimming in there. There's a little otter, the water. These are all water plants. And some of these plants are called cattails, which eventually will have like a little hot dog on the top. These are all your irises, which were out last week. And there's a lot of sedum, your hostas. And this here is a Japanese, very rare Japanese tree. In 35 years it will go up to 6 feet if I'm still around. Now over here we created another little garden.
A little fish pond.
It's a little fish pond. We have some fish in here, Linda. And we have our little friend fishing. And if you notice, he has not got a fish yet this morning, but you can see
it. There's
the
it.
fish are in the air. I guess they're not too hungry this morning. They're not biting. And this is our little terrace. This is what we call trumpet creeper. Eventually, in a year or two, it will parade over this. This whole thing will be green. And about it now, going over here, I started that bonsai about 9 years ago. It was a little, very, very small. But it's getting a little bit bigger.
Do you have to bring that inside in the winter?
I bring it in the shed. It will freeze, but it has to go dormant in the winter. And over here, this is something I built I've seen plans of an old barn. It's not a birdhouse because I'm not attracting birds, but I do love birds. You notice the squirrel is trying to get in there.
You put a lot of thought into it.
Now this is Cassie Rose's garden. Could Cassie like to come over here? Cassie's grown, these here are going to be large sunflowers. Little Cassie planted those.
Show everybody your garden.
To show everybody your garden.
Show everybody your sunflowers.
Your little froggy.
Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that.
And now we have some more pepper plants there, and this is ornamental grass. There's another little garden in here. And if you're really, for people that don't like to grow anything, you just get a couple of, this is just grass.
Stick it in a
Just stick it in a pot, and anyone can have a plant. have our little skunk crossing, which we're going now. Now we have little cows I made a couple of winters ago. In the winter we make our little projects in our workshop. Yes, these are all beans growing in here. And these here are going to be small sunflower. There's a new type of sunflower now. It only grows 18 inches high, but it'll have the head of a large one. This is another, it's called a marsh plant. Will grow in the water, the ornamental grass. And this is Castor Rose's favorite little watering can. We have our cows, which they do have a little cowbell. We have our raised garden in here. Well, we have another 45.
Creative here with the pot, shells.
Right. We have iris here, a little of everything here. And we just add breadfruit and a straw house. All ornamental grasses. You know, there's our little bucket tipped over one day, and these are called chicks and hens.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi, we're with Joe Duplin, 7 Washington Ave, and this is part of Winthrop's Nicest Gardens, and Joe's going to explain what he did out here in his backyard.
Well, we bought the house about 3 years ago, and this year we have a little baby, and every time she came back in the backyard, she would fall down the hill. We had a little hill here, and what I did is I put a retaining wall, filled it with pea stone and sand, and built a patio, and lined it with some beds. We had a machine come in and grade the backyard, so we got level surfaces again, and I put up 100 feet of fence, and it's not fully landscaped yet, but maybe we'll have a fall planting.
You're well on your way, though. Okay, so what did you plant in the flower beds around the patio?
We planted some ornamental grass. There's some ribbon grass. There's some large-faced pansies. There's some portulaca, coxcomb. There's some petunias. There's some snapdragons, different colors. They had some nice colors this year. It's not quite done yet. We're still adding to it.
What do you have over here, tomatoes?
We have some tomatoes, and we have about 5 different types of peppers. The peppers that I'm growing are kind of ornamental peppers. There's some cayennes, there's some habaneros, Hungarian wax peppers. I saw a guy last year grow them, and he put them amongst his ornamentals in front of his houses, and they look kind of neat. The fruits on them are reds and oranges, so they're kind of too hot to eat, but they're pretty vegetable.
Oh, it looks nice. Want to go around front now?
Sure.
Okay. Now we're in front of Joe's house, and he's going to explain what he's done out here.
If you look down Washington Street, you'll notice that most of the lawns have never been cut down and regraded. Over the years, what tends to happen is they tend to grow up over the sidewalks, and some of them, as you can see, are 8 inches, 12 inches, a foot high, and over the years they'll build up. So I regraded the front, and I seeded this. This is a seeded lawn. We also planted some dwarf Alberta spruces, some azaleas, English boxwoods.
I noticed your topiary over there. What's that called?
That's an English boxwood. It takes a little time to get it to the shape you want. The baby likes it.
Planted?
That's been in there about 2 years now.
How big is it going to get?
It'll get as big as you want, but I'll try to maintain it at that size.
And you've got some bushes?
Yeah, we have some dwarf Alberta spruces, an azalea. an emerald and gold. I forget the Latin name. Some impatiens. There's some petunias. We have some different breed of English boxwood. A few more azaleas. Petunias. I forget the name of some of them. It takes a while.
Well, it's very pretty.
Thank you.
And we'll come back at the end of the month and see what it looks like
Okay.
then, okay?
Thanks.
All right, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Okay. Good morning. We're at Joanne Bagley's house at 170 Winthrop Street, and this is where Joanne begins her creativity, and where she's been good enough to share her garden with us this morning. So we're going to begin from here. If you look around, you can see her arrangements of dried flowers and her baskets and her perennial books. And Joanne, you can take it from here.
Well, this is a very old house, and we've tried to make the most of the house, the barn, the yard. And when I decided on a perennial garden, that I'd convert this old room into a refuge, actually, and a workshop.
Good.
And it's worked out very well.
Shall we enter out and go and see what you've done? Here we are at the beginning of Joanne's garden, and she's going to walk us through and tell us what you've done to create this on her own.
Well, the first thing I did was the winter before. It's 5 years now, and that entire winter I learned. I knew nothing. So I sent for books and catalogs, and I made graphs a 1/4 inch to the foot so that I'd know exactly. And then I became very greedy, and I started sending. And what likes it here has remained, and what hasn't has died, and that's the way it's trial and error. But
Do you
this
have
is the
mostly-
sunniest part of the garden.
Do you have more perennials, annuals?
Mostly all perennials. Yeah, they're phlox that'll come up, that'll bloom next month. And these are strawberries, and they don't run on runners.
Mm-hmm.
These are alpine strawberries, and I don't know if we have any.
I see a little one.
They bloom right into the fall and produce fruit all during
All
the fall.
during the
So
fall.
it makes a nice low border, front of the border.
And what's this little yellow?
That's called potentilla. It's in bloom now, and it will sporadically bloom throughout the season.
This season.
Forget about delphinium. They're wonderful, but it's a short blooming season, and they are supposed to be perennials, but they will last 2 to 4 years, and then you have to replace them, but they're wonderful. If you have enough room, that's my problem. I don't have enough room.
Seems
For all
like
the
you've
things I
utilized the
want.
space well, though. And what is this?
This is a silver mound, and the secret to keeping that compact is to give it a haircut all the time. So I'm here with little scissors,
It's got its crew cut, huh?
because this is what will make it split. We have to keep taking those off. But what I like about working out here is that it's very peaceful, and you really can't think about much other than what you're doing, and that's what's so wonderful.
How many hours do you spend at it?
Mostly early morning, and maybe an hour and a half in the evening. Then I paint. These can take over your garden. This is called Artemisia, and that's one plant, and I also have it in the back, and it'll take over. So I just rip it out as much as it crawls out. I just rip it up.
But you've done such a beautiful array. I mean, there's so many different things blooming right now. It's just it's so delicate.
What I
really
find
pretty.
is that most people plant and have blooming things in the spring, bulbs, shrubs, things like that, and then there's nothing. This garden will go into October, and so I'd rather forego the big splashy spring garden and have it, continuously blooming.
So we can look forward to coming back.
Oh, I hope you do. Maybe not with the camera. These are new.
Those are pretty.
This is yarrow. It's very dependable and it dries well. This is called, I think it's peppermint.
It's pretty.
And these are ever-blooming daylilies, too. They'll go all right through September.
What is that? The purple flowers?
This is called campanula. And it's, there's a ton of varieties. But this will bloom maybe until mid-July. You have to deadhead all the time. That's the problem. You've got to deadhead. Because if you don't take off the spent blossoms, then all the strength goes into making new seeds. This will be huge. And it's called Coreopsis moonbeam. And it will bloom all summer, yellow. As these yellow primroses go back, then this yellow will take over. This is salvia. It's a perennial. Clematis, hopefully. They're very fickle.
They're fickle.
This little netting is for morning glories. They should be coming up soon. And this has a very small flower, but I love the color of the foliage. It gives a change from the green. We have my enormous pool, but it's cooling to hear it. Yeah, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seems to be the thing in Winthrop. We were at another garden who kind of made the same effect in his yard. Ornamental grass seems to be a big hit for Winthrop this year.
That can take over, too.
Yeah, I guess.
If it weren't for the fence, it'd be on Fremont Street. Lavender. This lavender is wonderful. So when it really comes up, and you can clip it,
It smells
tie
nice.
it.
And then do you dry it? And put it
Yes.
in the-
Yeah. And I love my lights.
Oh, those are beautiful.
At night, it's very soft, just enough.
Oh, that's a
Look, you look at
Oh.
it. Isn't that pretty?
Spectacular.
Shine out here like what are those bugs that light up? Fireflies. It's just like,
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
very
That's really pretty.
then we're starting to get into the difficult part. Because these trees, this is so matted with roots, but the trees also suck up all the water and the shade. And the shade. So between the three things, it gets to be difficult.
So what do you suggest that people who have gardens in this type of setting do to get some bloom growing? Just more leaves?
Real shade loving. They'll say partial shade, it just won't happen. But when it says full shade, like the hostas, and this is dicentra, and that'll bloom if you deadhead it all through the season and it likes the shade. You have to be sure it's a shade flower, fern, the impatiens, and the, what is it, a stilby. That'll bloom now into July. It's a difficult place, though. You have to keep it wet. I try to use soaker hoses. It saves watering. Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Dripping. It's like a drip irrigation. I had this just to get rid of this long bowling alley look.
It's a very pretty effect. With the rock
Just
garden
last year, so there's a lot more to be going on in there. You'll have to come back.
Well, we certainly will, for sure.
Look at the window boxes.
They never see the sun either, so it's the tuberous begonias.
They're beautiful. And the color variation.
It's a nice place to visit.
We found a lot of very nice places to
Have
visit
you?
that are very
Oh, that's
secret
good.
to the
Yes.
public. And
Ordinarily, people wouldn't know that your garden was here. Because
That's right.
Obviously, it's a very private area, so thank you for allowing us to come and see it.
We're at Ron Tredilio's house at 365 Winthrop Street, and this is the first of our entries on vegetable gardens. And Ron is going to take us through his vegetable garden and show us what he's planted and give us some good tips on gardening.
Hello and welcome to my garden. This is basil that we've planted. Naturally, it's a very popular herb that we use for tomato sauce. We have marigolds on the perimeter as a natural insecticide. And we have some giant tomatoes. They're big boy tomatoes. We hope they'll grow to their reputation. And in the second row, we have green peppers. And in the third row, we have eggplants, the black eggplants. And in this fourth row, we have broccoli and mixed with eggplants as well. In the fifth row, we have a whole string of broccoli as well. And you can see they're starting to develop very nicely, even though it's mid-June. And beyond that, we have an assortment of lettuce. We have Great Lakes head lettuce, and then we have butter crunch lettuce, salad bowl lettuce, more broccoli that we got at a discount from Tewksbury's because they were off-season, a plug for a local merchant. Romaine lettuce down at the back, and more green peppers at a discount. And yellow beans, green beans, and peas, all from seeds. And we planted these back in April. We tried something different this year. We used a black plastic, which is very effective in principle on keeping the weeds down. And the complication was that I pre-dug out the holes and planted the seeds and seedlings. And I don't know if you recall, back in late April, early May, we had a tremendously windy weekend, and this whole tarp picked up 4 or 5 times over that weekend, so I had a ball just continually resetting it and realigning it, so we had to go to a lot of seedlings as opposed to just all seeds, which is what I'm accustomed to doing. And again, we have marigolds on all of the perimeters to act as a natural insecticide. This year we've gone with additional peach trees. I should tell you that down there we have a 4-year-old peach tree. That's a dwarf that we got from Stark Brothers catalog, and we had a very prolific bounty of beautiful, juicy, sweet peaches last year. It was just terrific, and we have them growing again this year, which is very fortunate. To the left of the peach tree and down towards Center Street, that is a nectarine plant. That's also a dwarf, and just next to you, yellow delicious apple tree. And that's new for this year as well. I try to do something perennial each year to build on the garden, so it'll be self-sufficient. Directly across, not too many signs of life. That's a turkey fig. I tried it in this location about 3 years ago, and it's doing the same thing as it did then, just sort of sitting there. It might be waiting for the blazing heat to start, and this is a good beginning this weekend. To the right is a Bartlett pear, which is a semi-dwarf. And we're hoping that we're going to get some good results from that in about 3 years. And if we could move further down, we have 2 peach trees, which my father-in-law happened to put into the ground from our neighbor across the street, the Seacoasts, who have a wealth of peach trees. And they took very nicely, as you can see. So they're not self-pollinating as the dwarf is, but they will pollinate each other eventually, and we'll hopefully get a good bounty. In this trench is asparagus. It's in its 4th year, and I've picked most of it, and you can see it's starting to grow to weed, which is significant of the end of its yield and the end of its season. So we had been getting an average of about 10 spears twice a week, which isn't too bad. So we're making salads, and we're barbecuing them, and we're mixing them with eggs, and a whole assortment of cooking techniques. And we have evergreens, and down on this end are zucchini from seed, acorn squash from seed, and cucumber from seed. And you can see that things are starting to take kind of nicely here. And against the garage wall is raspberry. And we've had raspberry for about 4 years now. And we get 2 yields, usually late July and October into November, or September into November. So we're very happy with that plant as well. So we tried the black plastic here in this area, and the reason why I chose not to cover it is that hopefully the greens will cover everything very soon. So it will take care of its own cosmetics. And on the right, in the upper bank, are newly planted strawberry plants. And we've removed all of the buds. That's the wisest thing to do in the first year, to gain strength to the root system. So they will spread very nicely, and next year I'm sure that we'll have baskets of strawberries. So that's pretty much the, and also excessive seedlings that I've thinned out from the zucchini I've planted over by the peach tree. And some dahlias up there as well, and a couple of blueberry bushes, which we'll expand upon. So my weak suit is flowering, and the strong suit is vegetables.
Great job.
Okay. Ron, can you tell us how you start your seedlings and prepare the soil?
Yes, in the past I've started my own sort of semi-greenhouse in the back porch, which gets eastern and southern exposure. But this year I sowed directly into the soil, and that would be for the more, the stronger type of plants, which would be the lettuces, the peas, the beans, and the zucchini and cucumbers. So I did sow directly into the earth this year.
And do you have any special tips for gardeners, new gardeners, for preparing the soil?
Well, what I have done in the past was to use peat moss and lime and fertilizer and mulch and compost. I've had a compost pile for about the last 3 years, so it's in the earth now. This year I've done nothing at all because last year I sort of stopped in the middle from weeding and from back problems, but I think, in my opinion, that the soil was rich enough to stand on its own, and I think this is proof that it is. But each year I would suggest using mulch or compost, lime, and manure. Those are pretty good, safe bets.
Well, you certainly have been successful of it, and we
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing this with us.
Thank you very
this
much.
morning.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. We're with Janie Owen and Tom Greenfield at 12 Cottage Ave. And they have a lovely house over here, and they're going to show us their garden. Go ahead, take us through. You can tell us a little bit about what you've planted here.
Sure. We got these little poppies, I don't know exactly what they are called, but from Austria as a seeds, and all throughout Austria in the window boxes they use these. They cascade eventually sometime in July, and about 6 weeks later, will be even richer.
They're a very unusual color as well, too. Very pretty.
And they close at night. They all close at night, and then a new one comes on the following day.
Beautiful.
We have some snapdragons coming through here, and some, what are those, pansies coming through. Window boxes we have. This is something new we put in there called the New Blue Wonder, Scavola. These are the blue ones, and they're supposed to come down all the way. These are supposed to cascade down. And we did this little pot as well to complement this.
Very nice.
We have Mandeville in here. It's a plant from California, and that's also a vine that will grow up on the side of the house. And then in winter you have to take it in, and sort of adds additional color to the front. Small but compact.
Mm-hmm. You get your morning sun over here too on this side of the house too.
This is the afternoon sun.
Oh,
in
that
here.
you get here. Excuse
Yes,
me.
yeah, afternoon sun. This is a cherry tree. It was beautiful. A couple weeks ago, it was covered with blossoms of cherry,
Nice.
and it was like a confetti with the wind down the street. You think you were in a wedding. The hedge I did topiary. It took me 3 years to shape this.
Very nice. Very nice. Do you spend a lot of time out here then?
Oh yes.
Hours?
Oh yeah. Yeah. In the morning before I go to work, I have my cup of coffee and clipping and weeding and things like that for 20 minutes or so. Sort of relaxing. Okay. This is a new rose we did. We lost our rose last year in here, so we replaced it this year. It has beautiful flowers, sort of an orange and pink colors. Different perennials in the garden. They come and go in different stages, different flowers. We have These are marguerites, of course. Again, these last about 2-3 weeks. We have a small Japanese rock garden in here. I'm refurbishing this year because it was here about 15 years, so I got tired of everything that was in there, and then I'm just restarting it again. It's sort of cool spots and pretty colors, different colors comes throughout the year. Let's go in the back. And on our new deck, we just put this addition into the house, and we're in the process of trying to figure out where to put the window boxes and so forth. And this particular window box is a combination of the things that I was left over from last year, as well as to complement the front window box. And once again, it will all cascade. It's starting to do so with the purple flowers, and really pretty with the geraniums in there, and makes the place look very cool. This is my father-in-law's garden, and he makes a beautiful, he had about 300 tulips in there. He just pulled out a couple days ago, and then starting of the summer flowers coming up, and some tomatoes there as well. It's very pretty, and we get the advantage of a bird's eye view. We have a dog, but the cats uses the doghouse. The dog is at the groomer. Oh, I see. What you're looking at the moment, this is a chimney liners. We had these 2 liners while we were putting our fireplace, and we didn't know there was extra sitting around, and we thought, hey, let's make a flower pots of them, and it really worked out very nice. They've been there about 15 years in the same spot now, and year after year, these little carnations comes back, and they look pretty, I think. Yeah. This little dog house is not so little. We had 2 Shih Tzus before, and we thought we'd build this dog house for them, but we never knowing that we were supposed to build a dog house size of a dog. This dog house is good for German Shepherd or so forth, but I have 3 cats, and they're all 3 of them uses the dog house, but not the dogs. Let me tell you a little bit about the water fountain. My husband and I were walking the dog a few weeks ago, and we saw a garage sale, and there was this water fountain, and we bought it in a great bargain, and we brought it home, and it's working in perfect condition, and then we thought it was very charming against these beautiful flowers over here, the cyclamens. And sure enough, it looks lovely together, and very peaceful, the sound and so forth. Yeah, the hose comes from the back of the house, and we have lights at night, and sort of lights up a little bit, so like looks romantic. Yeah. Very peacefully. My next door neighbor was wondering what that water was, and we thought
he thought the tower was leaking.
Now we're at the edge of the house, and then we wanted to add a little color to the house, and we put these rose bushes in here. They bloom 3 times a year. As we cut down, they come back and again, over and over again. And this particular rose bush has one of them 5 feet stems. Talk about long stem roses. I took one of them to my girlfriend when she was in the hospital. 5 feet of it. The whole hospital came to see this rose. It was magnificent. So these are the long stem roses. I have red ones, orange ones, the yellow ones, but they're not doing very well this year. They sort of stuck a bit. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
And thank you for sharing your garden. Good luck.
Yes. We're at 10 Whittier Street now, and we're with Mish and Al, and they're going to show us their garden. Okay, so what do you have going over here?
Just tell you about it, huh?
Yep, just tell us all about it.
Well, you just missed the irises. They were we had about 5 different colors, mostly the purples, and we had cream-colored ones and some rosy-colored ones, and yellow and brownish ones.
Okay.
And some of them, the purple ones, the rhizomes come back from my mother from a real long time ago.
Oh, isn't that
My
nice?
mother's passed away for about 15 years, so they're very meaningful to me.
Yeah.
So they're my favorite flower. And then we got the hostas and a bunch of lilies. When we put these in just last fall, they're just tiny things. This is all grass. And we decided that we wanted to
So this
have
has only been a
pretty
year
garden.
that you've had it?
Yep.
Yeah?
Since September.
Since
Yeah.
September. It's
We've dragged
beautiful.
these gardens with us from wherever we've lived. At one
They've
point,
traveled.
they all are in brown plastic bags in the basement.
Oh, wow.
Where we had,
So you
when
saved
we first
them,
came
huh?
from Woburn, yeah.
Okay.
So we have, they're not showing up yet. We got different types of lilies in there. We got some, I think they call them fireball lilies or something like that. That's those little short things with the pointy things. Then we got a lot of asters in here. That's what's all over here. These things here are asters. And the little tree in the middle, we named him Arnold. I got him 3 years ago. He was just a little thing from Arbor Day.
Oh, from the schools when they went around and
Yeah.
gave them to the kids?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
he's doing very well in there. He's going to take over the whole middle someday.
Oh, wonderful.
And as you pointed out earlier, we have foxgloves.
Very pretty, too. Huge. And over here?
And over here it's pretty much the same thing. We had an azalea over here, and I wish I knew more about the names of my plants. I just kind of go by what I think is cute or nice.
And you've got some little furry friends in there?
Oh yeah, yeah. And those rocks were on the property when we moved here.
We feed the
What is
birds.
this?
This is this tree here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it's some kind of haw tree. It grows little tiny crab apples,
Oh.
and it flowers with little red berries, and it flowers in the early spring. And that was here with the people who lived here before.
So you've added this garden, too, since you came.
Oh yeah, there was absolutely nothing here
Just grass.
until we moved here last August. And we tore up all the grass. Oh yeah. In fact, now we have to separate. As you know, it's pretty crowded. We didn't expect it to fill out that much, so we're going to give things away.
Nice neighbor.
Something to say?
Call
Ellen?
you if they're interested in some of these plants.
Oh yeah. Oh, can we put in a bid? We're on the 4th of July parade committee. So we have the Harvest Parade. Peter Gobiel and myself and Al are pretty much the chairs of the whole thing, and we just had a big prize-a-rama. We raised $1,900.
There was
last Friday.
Regina Moses and Karen Falcons. They did a lot of
Last
work for
weekend
that.
at the PSA.
Yeah, we raised a lot of money.
We have Gary Scomro is heading up the field events. I think he has about 5 or 6 real good volunteers that are going to work with him. But we need a lot more. We need about, I'd say, at least 20 committed volunteers to run the parade.
So if they want to volunteer, how do they get in touch with you?
They should call us at 846-9913.
Good.
You want to
And I'm Mish, and that's
Sure,
Al.
get you on camera now, huh?
We're going to go around the side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we have a little more on the side.
Oh, you tell us what you have over here.
Okay, basically the annuals that we have here are just simple little marigolds. But all these over here are hardy mums. They'll be coming back every year. And I think we have 3 or 4 colors, three colors there. I think it's an orangey, a red, and this is supposed to be a blue one. But we'll see. And this is morning glories. Our favorite thing. On this side, all the morning glories are going to be pink. On the other side, they're blue, and they're all. The pink ones are from new seeds, but the blue ones are from years of morning glories, the blue morning glories. We expect to have it climbing all over here next time you come by.
Wonderful.
And then on the steps, because we have dogs, we put a permanent gate up there, so that we have the yard all fenced out. So we just try to keep the front steps looking nice, and also keep people from walking up there for nothing.
Right.
And they're all just annuals here, begonias and geraniums. They should fill out pretty well.
Wonderful. Barbara's filming it for Channel 3, and the judging is at the end of the month, and we'll let you know when. And we just want to thank both of you for letting us tour your garden.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
It's fun.
Thanks.
That's one of the things we love about Winthrop. We've been here 3 years, and it's just so friendly. Within 2 weeks of living here, we're invited to 3 4th of July parade parties, and so it's nice.
It is. It's wonderful.
And here we are. Thank you.
Thank you.